I've had a couple of requests to talk about lifelines and how those work. So I'm going to show you on the diamond brocade stitch how to work a lifeline. As you can see, I already have one lifeline in place, so I'm going to show you how to put one in place and also how to rip back to one that you've already put in place. For the lifeline, I'm just using this cheap twine that I got from the Dollar Tree. You can use anything that is smaller than your yarn. You can use dental floss or sewing thread, anything like that. And I'm also using this finishing needle because those are a bit easier to use than sewing needles if you get stuck. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you need a piece. You don't have to cut it beforehand, but sometimes it's easier to work with. I like to do double, a little bit more than double the width of what I'm working with. So I'm working with a swatch right now, so it's not going to be very much. So the reason lifelines were mentioned and requested is because lifelines are a way to kind of halt everything in progress and hold on to a space where you know you've worked up until that point correctly, and maybe you're working on a complex pattern, or something is just stumping you. If you've done a couple rows and you know they're correct, you can put in the lifeline, and then that way when you rip back, if you mess up again, then you'll only rip back to the point where everything was good and your stitches will be saved. It's a little bit less fiddly. So what you're gonna do when you're putting in a lifeline is you're just gonna thread your needle and then start to put it in every stitch. Now, I do like Simply Soft to work with, but I will say that it has a tendency to fray. So I have to be careful not to split these stitches as I go through. So I'm going in between, oops, there we go, with splitting the stitches again. And got tangled up. And every few stitches I pull it and just kind of make sure it's the tension that I want. I don't want to lose my tail though, or I'll have to rethread that end. So. And that one is getting stuck. There we go. I want to make sure I don't split it, because then it'll be another set of problems to deal with. So pull through here. And the last stitch. Okay, so you can kind of straighten that out and see it's just mirroring where the needle is. So when you knit your next row, pull that forward. You want to pull this forward. When you knit your next row or work your next row, however it is worked, what you're going to do, oops, sorry, I got a little twist in there. What you're going to do is just work the stitches normally and pretend that the lifeline isn't there. Okay, and if you get to the point where you realize you actually didn't need a lifeline, maybe you worked a couple inches up and you've put in a second one, then you can just pull it right out and it'll work the same way down here. So now I'm going to show you, if you have a lifeline in place and you realize, uh-oh, I've messed up on these rows and I need to rip back, what to do. I have to give this needle a little assistance because the join right here is kind of a big join, and so I'm frequently getting stuck there. But what you will do, got your lifeline in place, and you're going to pull out the stitches that you worked. Until you get to the lifeline, and you won't be able to pull past that lifeline because it's acting like another needle in place. And so what you do is you pull back to that point, and then you can pick up the stitches on your needle, and it'll be nice and easy to do so because you've already got that lifeline in place. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'll also link back to this pattern in case you'd like to work it. And there's also going to be a link to our Facebook group, which we're doing with the Summer Stitch Sampler, which is where this question originated. So you can check all of those links out. And like I said, questions in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer them.